The day my daughter-in-law banned me from seeing my grandchildren, she sent the message at 6:12 in the morning. Do not come to the house again. Do not call the children. If you continue interfering, we will take legal action. I read it 3 times before I understood she meant me. For 9 years, I had picked those children up from school, sat beside hospital beds, baked birthday cakes, paid for summer camp when money was tight, and kept a toothbrush for each of them in my upstairs bathroom. By breakfast, I had become a threat. My son said he needed time. His wife said I needed boundaries. And for nearly 8 months, I did not hear my grandchildren's voices. Then, my son found a second set of financial statements hidden in a locked drawer, a storage unit rented under another name, and a letter that proved his wife had not pushed me out to protect the children. She had pushed me out because I had come too close to discovering what she was hiding. I was 63 when this happened. My son Daniel was 37. His wife Brooke was 35. They had 2 children, Emma, who was 9, and Caleb, who was 6. My husband had died 5 years earlier, and those children had become the brightest part of my week. I lived 15 minutes away in a modest house outside Indianapolis. Daniel and Brooke lived in a newer subdivision with identical mailboxes, young trees, and a homeowners association that sent letters about trash cans. Daniel worked as a project estimator for a construction company. Brooke managed the household and ran what she described as a small online home decor business. At first, I thought she was good for him. Daniel had always been cautious and easily overwhelmed. Brooke was decisive. She chose restaurants, planned vacations, negotiated bills, and remembered school forms. When they married, I was grateful he had found someone confident. Only later did I understand confidence and control can look similar from a distance. Brooke and I were never naturally close. She was polished, organized, and private. I was practical, talkative, and probably more involved than she wanted. That is important to admit. I did not always wait to be asked. When Emma was born, I brought food every other day. Brooke thanked me at first. Then she said the freezer was full. I brought more anyway because feeding people was how I showed love. When Caleb struggled with speech, I researched therapists and emailed a list before Brooke asked. She replied with one sentence, "We are handling it." I felt hurt. She felt invaded. Both were true. Daniel avoided conflict. If Brooke complained I was overstepping, he told me gently to back off. If I complained she was shutting me out, he said she was stressed. He translated instead of confronting. That habit would cost all of us. The relationship improved once the children were older. I picked them up from school every Wednesday. We made pancakes for dinner, did homework, and watched nature documentaries. Brooke appreciated the childcare. I appreciated the time. There were still tensions. She disliked when Emma called my house her second home. She corrected Caleb if he asked me for permission before asking her. She wanted photographs approved before I posted them. Those boundaries were reasonable. I followed them. Then money became a problem. Daniel's company reduced hours during a construction slowdown. Brooke's online business appeared to grow, but income was inconsistent. They refinanced the house. I loaned them $12,000 for a new roof after hail damage. The insurance claim was delayed. They repaid $2,000 and said the rest would come after the claim settled. I did not push. Family should not become a bank. But family should also not pretend loans disappear because discussion is uncomfortable. I noticed small things. Brooke bought expensive handbags while complaining about grocery prices. Packages arrived almost daily. She said they contained inventory for her business. Once, I saw a credit card statement on the counter with a balance over $30,000. When she noticed me looking, she turned it over. "It is a business card," she said. I apologized. I should not have read it. Still, the numbers stayed with me. Daniel knew almost nothing about their finances. That surprised me. He deposited his salary into a joint account. Brooke paid bills and managed taxes. When I asked whether he had seen the roof insurance payment, he said, "Brooke handles that." The phrase appeared often. Brooke handles that. School fees, insurance, taxes, subscriptions, business paperwork. Daniel believed division of labor meant trust. I had believed the same thing in my marriage, but my husband and I still knew where accounts existed. I asked Daniel whether he had online access. He became defensive. "Mom, we're not children." "I know." "Then stop checking." I asked one question. "You ask questions that sound like accusations." That was fair. My concern often arrived wearing judgment. I apologized. For a few months, I said nothing. Then Emma told me something during pancake night. She said, "Mom says we might have to move because Grandma keeps asking for her money." I nearly dropped the spatula. "I have not asked your mother to move." "She said you want the house." I knelt beside her. "I do not want your house." "Then why is Mom scared?" I did not know what to say. I told her adults sometimes misunderstand one another. That evening, I called Brooke. She denied saying it. Emma makes up stories when she is anxious. Emma did have anxiety, but she did not usually invent detailed financial explanations. I told Brooke I had never threatened the house or demanded repayment. She said, "You may not realize how your comments sound." "What comments?" "Every time you mention the loan, Daniel feels ashamed." "I mentioned it twice in 2 years." "That is enough." I became angry. "It is still money I loaned you." Her voice turned cold. "And there it is." She hung up. Daniel called later. He asked me to avoid discussing finances with Brooke or the children. "I did not discuss it with Emma. She brought it up." "Brooke says you questioned her about the credit card, too." "I saw a statement." "You were snooping." "It was on the counter." "That does not make it yours." He was right about that detail. I admitted it. Then I asked, "Do you know how much debt you have?" Silence. "Daniel?" "This is exactly what Brooke means." He ended the call. The Wednesday visits stopped for 3 weeks, then resumed without explanation. I accepted that because I missed the children. That was my mistake. I allowed access to become conditional on silence. Brooke learned that removing the children ended difficult conversations. I learned to stop asking. The secret might have remained hidden if not for a school fundraiser. Emma's class sold cookie dough. I ordered several boxes and wrote a check for $100. 2 weeks later, the school secretary called. She knew me from pickup. "Mrs. Lawson, did you mean to write this for $1,000? No. The check had been altered. The amount line had an extra 0. The written words had also been changed from $100 to $1,000. My bank had not processed it yet because the handwriting looked inconsistent. The check was payable to the School Parent Association. I assumed someone in the school office made a mistake. Then the secretary said Brooke had collected the fundraiser checks from several families and delivered them. I called Brooke. She said the school must have changed it. The school denied that. Brooke became furious. "Are you accusing me of changing your check?" "I am asking what happened." "You always think the worst of me." "I want an explanation." She said she would bring the original fundraising form. She never did. I placed a stop payment. The next morning, I received the ban message. "Do not come to the house again. Do not call the children. If you continue interfering, we will take legal action." I called Daniel. He did not answer for 4 hours. When he finally called, his voice sounded exhausted. "Mom, Brooke says you accused her of fraud." I asked why my check was altered. "She did not alter it." "Then who did?" "The school is investigating."
"The school said she handled the checks." He sighed.
"You have been undermining her for years." "What?" "You question her parenting, spending, business, everything." "I have made mistakes. This is not about those." "It is always about those." I asked whether I could speak to Emma and Caleb. "No." The word was quiet. It hurt more because it came from him. "For how long?" "Until things calm down." "How will they calm down if no one tells the truth?" "Please stop." Then he said he needed time. That phrase became 5 months. I sent birthday cards. No response. I mailed small gifts. They were returned. I drove past the house once and hated myself afterward. I did not stop. I only slowed enough to see bicycles near the garage. My grief became physical. I lost weight. I slept badly. Friends encouraged me to seek grandparents' rights. In Indiana, those rights are limited and complicated. My attorney, Susan Blake, explained that because Daniel and Brooke were married and both objected, forcing visitation would be difficult unless I could show harm or another legal basis. I did not want to sue my son. I wanted him to remember who I was. I wrote him a letter. Not an emotional attack, a simple account of what happened. I admitted where I had overstepped. I asked for mediation. He did not respond. Brooke did. She sent an email listing boundaries I had allegedly violated: unannounced visits, financial pressure, criticism of parenting, attempts to turn the children against her. Some incidents were distorted versions of real events. Others never happened. She claimed I told Emma her mother was irresponsible. I had not. She claimed I threatened to contact creditors. I had not. She claimed I entered their bedroom without permission. That happened once while helping locate Caleb's inhaler during an asthma attack. Context disappeared. The email created a portrait of me as controlling. I began doubting myself. Had I been worse than I understood? My friend Marion said, "You can be overbearing without being dangerous." That sentence helped. I was not perfect. I also was not the person Brooke described. The midpoint arrived through Caleb's school nurse. She called me by mistake. My number remained listed as an emergency contact. Caleb had an asthma episode. Neither parent answered. The nurse asked whether I could come. I said yes immediately. Then she called back. His mother returned the call and said, "You are not authorized." I sat in my car outside the school and cried. Later, Daniel called. "Why were you at Caleb's school?" "The nurse called me." "You should have said no." "He could not breathe." "Brooke handled it." "After 20 minutes?" He became angry. Then I heard Emma in the background. She shouted, "Grandma!" The line went silent. Daniel hung up. That night, he came to my house alone. For the first time in 6 months, I saw my son. He looked pale. He said Emma had been asking questions. Caleb missed me. Brooke wanted complete separation. "What do you want?" I asked. He stared at the floor. "I want peace." That is not an answer. He said he felt trapped between us. I replied, "You are not between two equal stories. Your wife banned your mother after an altered check." He said the school determined the fundraiser deposit was short by several $1,000s. My chest tightened. Did they accuse Brooke? No. Did she handle the money? She and 2 other parents. Did you ask her? Yes. What did she say? That you started rumors. That was not an answer either. I told Daniel to look at every account. He became defensive again. Then I said something cruel. Your father would be ashamed that you do not know where your own money goes. His face changed. I regretted it immediately. My husband was dead. Using him as a weapon was wrong. Daniel stood. I came here to try. I am sorry. You always say sorry after you cut. He left. For another month, nothing changed. Then Daniel found the financial statements. Brooke had gone to visit her sister for a weekend. Daniel needed the title to their old car because he planned to sell it. The locked drawer in Brooke's office contained documents he had never seen. 5 credit cards in his name, 2 personal loans, a second checking account, statements from a storage facility, and records for an online resale business called Willow Lane Interiors. The business was real, but much of the inventory consisted of high-end goods purchased using stolen identities, altered checks, returned merchandise, and credit accounts opened with personal information from friends and relatives, including mine. Brooke had opened a store credit card using my social security number. The balance was $11,000. She had access to my information from forms I completed when they refinanced the house and listed me as emergency contact on insurance documents. The altered fundraiser check was not an isolated event. It was part of a pattern. Daniel called me at midnight. His voice shook. Mom, I think Brooke stole your identity. I sat up. What did you find? He described the drawer, then the storage unit. He had used the key taped beneath the desk. Inside were unopened appliances, handbags, electronics, decor items, shipping labels, and boxes addressed to people he did not know. There were also file folders. One held copies of my driver's license and tax identification. Another held information belonging to Daniel's co-workers, school parents, and Brooke's cousin. The secret was larger than debt. Brooke had been financing an image and business through fraud. Daniel contacted an attorney and the police before confronting her. That was wise. When Brooke returned, 2 officers were present. She denied everything at first, then claimed the business partner she worked with had used the documents. There was no business partner, at least not in the way she described. Investigators later found she had participated in online refund fraud, identity theft, and check alteration with a woman she met through a resale group. The amounts were serious, but not enormous enough to make national news. Tens of thousands, not millions. The damage spread across many people. That made it worse in a different way. Brooke had used trust as inventory. She targeted people whose information she could reach without suspicion. Family, school volunteers, friends. The ban made sense now. I had noticed the debt. Emma repeated Brooke's fear. The altered check connected me directly. Brooke needed to remove me before I asked more questions or warned Daniel. The children were leverage. Daniel came to my house the day after the confrontation. He looked broken. I am sorry. I wanted to embrace him. I also wanted him to feel the weight of 8 months. I said, "You chose not to believe me." He cried. "I believed my wife." That is not the same as having to reject me. "She said you were attacking her." "And you never examined the facts." He covered his face. "I know." I did hug him then. Anger and love can exist in the same arms. Emma and Caleb came the next afternoon. Emma ran into me so hard I nearly fell. Caleb stood in the doorway at first, then asked whether I still had his blue cup. I did. Of course I did. We did not discuss Brooke in detail. The children knew she had done something serious and was staying elsewhere. Emma asked whether her mother was a criminal. Daniel said, "She made choices that broke the law." Emma asked whether Brooke loved them. Daniel began crying. I answered carefully. Yes,
But loving someone does not make every choice safe. That sentence became important in our family. The stronger final revelation came later through Brooke's attorney. Brooke offered to cooperate with investigators and provide records. During negotiations, she revealed why the fraud began. Years earlier, before marrying Daniel, she had accumulated debt under her mother's identity. Her mother discovered it and quietly paid it off. No police report, no consequences. Brooke learned that family shame could erase financial harm. After marriage, small deception returned. A store card, a false return, a check altered by $50. Each time she told herself she would repair it. Then her online business gave the behavior a respectable story. Inventory, cash flow, returns, growth. The second revelation was not that she had a partner or hidden fortune. It was that Daniel's mother-in-law, Brooke's mother, had known about the early fraud for years. She helped hide it. When Brooke's spending worsened, her mother blamed stress and told Daniel not to control her finances. She encouraged secrecy while presenting herself as a supportive parent. I confronted her during a family meeting arranged by attorneys. I said, "You knew she had used another person's identity." She replied, "She was 22. And you taught her consequences could be purchased." Her face hardened. "You have no right to judge me." "I do. She used my identity and my grandchildren to hide it." Brooke sat silently, then said, "Mom told me everyone makes mistakes." Her mother answered, "Not like this." Brooke laughed bitterly. "You paid the first one." That was the moment the family story changed. Brooke was responsible, completely. But her ability to avoid accountability had been trained. Understanding that did not remove consequences. It explained why denial came so naturally. Brooke eventually pleaded guilty to several financial offenses. She did not receive a dramatic, decades-long sentence. She served time in a county program, completed home detention, paid restitution, lost access to many financial accounts, and remained under supervision. Her online business closed. The storage contents were seized or returned. Victims repaired credit slowly. I froze my credit, filed reports, and spent months disputing accounts. The emotional cost exceeded the dollar amount. Every official letter reminded me my daughter-in-law had copied my identity while accepting my help. Daniel filed for divorce. At first, he wanted full custody and no contact. His attorney and the children's therapist advised a more careful process. Brooke had harmed the family, but the children's relationship with her required professional evaluation rather than anger alone. Supervised visits began months later. Emma refused the first two. Caleb wanted to see her. Their needs differed. Daniel struggled with that. He wanted one clean rule. Families rarely receive clean rules after betrayal. I helped more than before. School pickups returned, sleepovers, meals, doctor appointments. But Daniel and I created boundaries. I would not become the second parent. I would not use access to punish Brooke. I would not speak about legal details in front of the children. Daniel would not threaten removal whenever we disagreed. We wrote these rules with the therapist. That may sound formal. We needed formal. Our old family relied on unspoken expectations. Those had failed. Rebuilding my relationship with Daniel was harder than seeing the children again. He apologized repeatedly. I became tired of apologies. One evening I said, "Stop telling me you are sorry and tell me what you will do differently." He said he would review finances directly. Listen to concerns without treating them as attacks. Separate marital loyalty from blind acceptance. And never again use his children as a shield in an adult conflict. I said, "Good. Now do it." He did, imperfectly. The first test came when I criticized his plan to sell the house quickly.
He became defensive, then stopped. "Are you asking or directing?" "Asking." "I'll consider it." That small exchange mattered. He sold the house 6 months later, but not because I told him to, because the payments and memories were too heavy. He moved into a smaller rental near the children's school. Emma began therapy for anxiety. Caleb's asthma improved once medication routines became consistent. Brooke had sometimes delayed refills because money was being redirected. That discovery made Daniel furious again. The therapist reminded him anger could inform protection, but not become the children's atmosphere. He worked on it. I worked on my own habits too. I had a tendency to enter crisis and become indispensable. It felt loving. It also made people dependent and gave me silent expectations. I began asking before helping. "Do you need dinner? Do you want me at the appointment? Should I take the children Wednesday?" Most of the time, Daniel said yes. Sometimes, no. I learned no did not mean rejection. Emma eventually asked why her mother banned me. I said, I had noticed things she wanted hidden. "Did she hate you?" "No." "Then why did she lie?" Because people sometimes become more afraid of consequences than of hurting someone. Emma thought about that. "Is that why Dad believed her?" I paused. Yes, he was afraid his marriage was failing. Children see patterns quickly. I added, he should still have listened better. She nodded. Honesty without turning a child against a parent is difficult. We did our best. Brooke wrote me a letter during supervision. She apologized for the identity theft, altered check, lies, and separation from the children. She said she had resented my competence. I knew how to cook, manage money, comfort the children, and remain calm in emergencies. Brooke felt judged even when I said nothing. Instead of confronting insecurity, she created evidence that I was intrusive. Then she used that evidence to remove me. The letter contained insight. It also contained explanations that sometimes sounded like excuses. I replied once. I accept that you regret what you did. Trust will depend on years of behavior, not this letter. That was all. Over time, Brooke completed restitution and treatment. She worked in a supervised administrative role where she had no financial access. Her visits with the children expanded gradually. Daniel hated it. I supported the therapist's plan. He accused me once of defending her. I said, supporting the children's safe relationship with their mother is not defending what she did. He understood later. Brooke and I now see each other at school events occasionally. We are civil, not close. I do not want revenge. I also do not pretend the betrayal became harmless because she faced consequences. My credit recovered. The missing money was partially repaid. The 8 months without my grandchildren cannot be returned. That loss remains. At Caleb's 8th birthday, he asked why there were no photographs of me from the year he turned 7. The room became quiet. I said, we were having a family problem. He asked, did I do something? No. Then why weren't you there? I looked at Daniel. He answered, because I made a decision that hurt Grandma and you. That honesty mattered. Caleb said, don't do it again. Daniel promised. No long speech. Children often ask for the clearest accountability. Emma is 12 now, Caleb is 9. They still sleep over once a month. Emma no longer calls my house her second home because she worries the phrase may hurt Brooke. I told her she can call it whatever feels safe. She said, it's Grandma's house. That is enough. Daniel manages his own finances now. He uses a budgeting app and complains about every subscription. Sometimes he sends me screenshots. I tell him I do not need proof. He says he needs practice.
Our relationship is stronger, but different. He knows I can forgive and still remember. I know he can love me and still fail me under pressure.
That knowledge is more mature than the old certainty we had. People who hear this story often focus on Brooke's secret, the stolen identities, the storage unit, the hidden accounts. But the secret only became powerful because our family had habits that protected it. Daniel avoided conflict. I overstepped and then stayed silent to preserve access. Brooke's mother erased early consequences. I accepted repayment delays without clear agreements. Brooke learned how to use each weakness. That does not distribute blame equally. She committed the fraud. She chose the ban. But families become vulnerable when truth is always softened for the sake of peace. I no longer believe peace means no one is upset. Sometimes peace begins with the right person becoming upset for the right reason. The altered check was $1,000. The missing months with my grandchildren were worth more than any account balance. When Brooke banned me, I believed my son had chosen his wife over his mother. The deeper truth was that he chose the story that allowed him to avoid examining his marriage. When he discovered the secret, he did not become a hero. He became a man forced to face what his avoidance had cost. That was more useful. Heroes appear for one confrontation. Change appears in bank logins, therapy appointments, difficult apologies, and the decision not to hang up when someone says something you do not want to hear. Brooke's secret destroyed her marriage. It did not have to destroy every relationship around it. The children still have a mother. Daniel still has responsibility for his choices. I still have boundaries. We built something less innocent and more honest. Sometimes I look at the old Wednesday pancake pan and remember the months it stayed unused. I do not romanticize the pain. I also do not let it define every meal afterward. Emma mixes batter now. Caleb adds too many chocolate chips. Daniel sometimes joins us. No one discusses credit reports at the table. We laugh. The moment is ordinary. After everything, ordinary feels earned. My daughter-in-law banned me because she believed silence would protect her secret. For a while, it did. Then one drawer opened. One key fit a storage lock. One son finally looked at the life he had allowed someone else to manage. The truth did not give me back the lost time. It gave our family a chance to stop losing more. A year later, Daniel asked whether I wished I had gone to court immediately. I thought about the returned gifts, the silent birthdays, and the school parking lot where I was not allowed to help a child who could not breathe. Yes, I said, and no. He looked confused. I wish I had protected myself sooner, but I am glad the children were not placed in the middle of a legal fight before we understood the truth. He nodded. Then he asked, "Do you trust me now?" More than I did after the ban. That isn't much. No. I took his hand. Trust is not restored by one discovery. It is restored when the next difficult thing happens and you choose differently. Months later, that test came. Brooke asked to attend Emma's school concert outside her approved visitation schedule. Daniel wanted to refuse immediately. I reminded him to ask the therapist and follow the plan, rather than using access as punishment. He did. The therapist approved a supervised arrangement. The evening remained peaceful. Afterward, Daniel said, "You helped someone who hurt you." I helped Emma. That distinction is one our family understands now. Boundaries are not revenge. Compassion is not surrender. And protecting children does not mean pretending adults caused no harm. The truth gave us those distinctions.
We use them constantly.